Halo Infinite post-winter update is still an unfinished, stale and lifeless joke. There is nothing here that is actually finished. It is essentially an empty game that sets itself up for future updates, which even then can't keep up with the demand for more content to sustain itself. I mean, a pair of maps and a few bug fixes every 6 months just isn't going to save Halo Infinite. Forced positivity once again plagues this game.
The Forge tool is so strong it rivals the in-house editing tool that 343 uses called Faber. It is one of the most powerful game editing tools that has ever been released.
Gonna save this game. Look,
Been out for just over a week now,
It
and
really
already
seemed like the
people are giving
1 year long
Picasso
beta
a run
for
for his
Halo
money.
Completely ignoring the broken foundations you're building on. Adding a Forge mode which can only be played on custom games with no custom games browser to even access that content has anything but saved this game. Now, the winter update Forge mode has for a time managed to distract people away from Infinite's many jarring issues like desync, crash issues, hit detection issues, broken modes, lack of real content and a host of other issues. And there's still no information on cross-core customization, no firefight, no additional weapons, no career progression system, no assassinations. Theater mode is still broke, the UI is still broke, custom games is still broke, no infection mode, no new vehicle, missing core features which were given to us a decade ago. The only thing these f***ers prioritized to work on day one was the f***ing store, which goes to show you their real intentions with this product. I mean, this update was so botched, even the Forge monitor itself doesn't even look complete. People have to keep using the Forge monitor from Halo 3 in their videos, it's that bad. People have to set up discords to coordinate groups just to play this garbage. And you can't earn XP in custom game lobbies, so now you have to migrate back to multiplayer to play the same old stale shitty multiplayer experience you did literally a year ago. Nothing has changed here, absolutely nothing. So please remind me what exactly has saved this game. If anything, the update exposes the idiots supporting 343. And the maps people are making are massively overhyped by the same group of degenerates who've capitalized on Halo for over a decade in some cases now. And I think 343 fans are using Infinite's Forge mode as some kind of redemption moment to entice long-time fans of the originals, whilst concurrently trying to reach out to a broader audience, marketing Halo Infinite's winter update as some kind of huge success when it's actually the polar opposite. And this has led to complete desperation, fueling jarring statements. People playing this game now are comparing Forge-made content to the professional god-tier dev maps of the originals.
But it looks incredible. They could put this in matchmaking and people would love it. Aesthetically, it looks better than the original. This looks better than the Halo 3 version. If someone told me, hey Remy, this looks like Halo 3 Anniversary, I would believe you.
my ass.
They're clearly selling you a lie, and the results are here for everyone to see. In fact, Infinite's player base is currently waving between 2,000 with a high tide of barely 7,000 players post-winter update, with that massive boost in players most likely coming from the Asian continent. No one is playing this shit. For a free-to-play Halo, this is fucking terrible. So you're fooling no one. 343's strategy to release pieces of the game through updates is failing. You did this with Halo 5, it can't happen again. This is why it's important to release a full game on day one. First impressions are everything, and Bungie was giving us complete games over a decade ago, so I can't understand how 343 are continuing to mess up this bad. Now, I'm not knocking the community work. I know the time and energy you put into making this content, and it is incredible what people are able to do with these unique editing tools. People are scripting sequences and animations into their maps using the nodes graphs. You're able to map textures onto objects, and there is so much potential here. Think about dynamic weather events, which you could script into your maps. These are old concepts, and Halo has never had this before, for whatever reason, but I'm pretty sure you could script in dynamic weather events into custom maps. Another thing I've seen is people are using third-party tools to create geometry and import that into Infinite's map editor. If 343 could find a way to streamline this experience into the game as an actual feature, the potential to make real, proportionate, accurate one-to-one remakes and professional maps would be insane. That would allow people to achieve a much higher standard when building maps, and that would be impressive. But if anything, this shows you how 343 continue to drop the ball and miss huge opportunities with Halo Infinite. So much so that the game is now being built by the community, literally doing the developers' work for them. There's talks of even putting these creations into multiplayer, when most of this should be dev-made content here on release showcasing impressive detail, except the community are using Forge to fill the empty void which is the lack of content. Now, the Forge tools here just aren't that good enough, and these creations are compounded because of that. The average player just isn't going willing to utilize complex features like the nose graphs. People want to build great looking maps first and foremost, and that specific demographic is only a small minority of the game. Now let me articulate on why these Forge tools just aren't that good enough. Take a look at Far Cry Instincts from 2005, a game I was building maps on as a kid. This has significant strengths compared to Halo Infinite's Forge mode, and things have only progressed since then to what we have now with Far Cry 5's map editor. The content you can create here truly blurs the line between community and developer made content. I mean, you really can't tell the difference. It blows Forge mode out this planet, it's that good. Halo Infinite, for whatever reason, cannot compete with this. It's shocking. You're able to mold your own terrain with no expense on the in-game budget. You even have water environments with physics to play with, including amphibious vehicles. Vegetation combined with the wind system makes an exhibition of the game's physics, breathing more life and realism into your creations. You're able to script events, place wildlife or AI combatants into your maps, allowing you to customize your own campaign. We're practically in 2023, and a game as big as Halo is still dwindling with objects which you have to flip around and rotate just to build simple topography, taxing the already small in-game budget you have to build from. You have to piece things together in this jigsaw, and everything looks weird and choppy because of this. And you can forget about water environments, because 343 have struggled with physics since they've tried to maintain Halo. People have to apply effort just to build simple water features that in the end looks fake. In fact, this developer provably ignores that water environments are a trivial aspect of Halo's art style and does nothing in 10 years to innovate with that. And your 2018 reveal showed us you understood this. Wide open rivers, open oceans, underwater environments, wildlife, and none of that made it into the final game. There is not a single flowing river or ocean anywhere in this entire game. No waterfalls, nothing. What the fuck happened? There is so much missing potential here, and it's not like they didn't try. You've got some water in the game, pools of stagnant, lifeless water in sections of the campaign, and even that is clearly broken, whilst other areas of the game just don't utilize water physics at all. These are literally visuals you could achieve on the 360. It's that shockingly bad. Halo 3 released in 2007 and does more here than 343 have in 10 years with Halo. And the original devs knew that this was something that would innovate Halo. Now, Forge gives players the power to build their own maps and custom games, which is fantastic, don't get me wrong, but it's never going to equal or replace dev-like quality made maps, and that's a fact. Yes, it helps fuel the game with more content, but the problem here is the quality of the content. You see this map here? This map uses 40% of the in-game budget you can use to build from. Multiply this bullshit by 2 and you've essentially hit the building limit. You offer these huge ass canvases, but the player can only utilize a fraction of the building space you provide. And this is all Forge made content, I'm sure you can already tell, rendering community made creations unprofessional and elementary at best. You would praise a pandering baby for making something with the Forge tools. It just doesn't compete with dev made maps, which Halo Infinite desperately needs right now. Anything made in the Forge tools ultimately feels fake, plastic, and looks artificial inherently for reasons I just explained. Now, take a look at Valhalla from Halo 3. We have a river which snakes its way through the map with a set of brutalist Forerunner structures to shepherd the player into a lush green combat zone. Vegetation reacts to player movement. Water reacts to player movement. And we call this physics. It's what helps bring the game to life. Now take a look at 343's Halo 4 imitation of the majesty that was Valhalla. Can you see how completely lifeless it is? Even the fucking waterfall is still broken to this day. And this isn't even Forge made content. This is their attempt at a dev map. Now Halo 5, 343's next installment to the franchise, utilizes the Forge tools to rebuild Valhalla once again. And what do we get this time? A stale, lifeless shovel of bullshit. They couldn't even get the river into the game. There's no physics here at all. And we're seeing the same scenario play out with Halo Infinite, only this time the developers are so creatively bankrupt, so underfunded, so behind schedule, they're simply unable to create Valhalla. The community have to do it for them, and yet again it's a stale, plastic, lifeless reimagining with no physics because of the limitations of the Forge tools you provide. This doesn't deserve to be in an online multiplayer rotation at all, and that's not the creators' fault. It's because the Forge tools are so basic and the canvases are complete shit. You create something that doesn't fit the visually interesting portfolio of dev maps that Halo Infinite should have by now and continue to be building on. Real professional developer made maps. What would be a good idea is a dedicated playlist called Community Creations, which exhibit the top Forge-made creations in its own playlist kept separate from dev maps. That's how you engage with your fans. Halo Infinite needs real professional developer-made content, and it seems like they provided that with Season 2. The 2 maps you provided here are visually stunning. It's enough to want to come back to play, even if they played like absolute shit. I can see there's an art direction with inspiration. This is actual developer made content. But since then, 343's punctuality and quality has progressively gotten worse, and it's because you're using the Forge tools as a substitute to make your maps. And this sets up Halo's multiplayer future for the worst. Proof of this are the maps you gave us in the winter update, which are honestly complete shit.
As a forger, I think the thing that's going to surprise us a lot is be able to scale objects. Like, for example, like these objects look like these massive pipes are running underneath ground for this facility. It is literally just a small cable or hose that he's scaled up and changed material on. I personally think scaling is going to be changing a lot of how these maps are going to be looking visually, and it's going to blur the line from a Forge map to a dev quality map.
I'm excited about a lot of things.
This is how you're building your multiplayer maps. Are you f***ing kidding me? Where is the concept design? Where the f*** are the floor plans? Where is the playtesting? There is no design stage anywhere when you're building maps with the Forge tools. And 343 do this deliberately to save time, money, and effort. And the quality of the game suffers because of that. Clearly, there are no architects, engineers, or real level designers building this game. And again, Bungie was giving this to us, proving they knew how to plan, build, and test their maps pre-release, giving us iconic maps to this day, idiot-proof and play-tested professional maps. 343 completely ignore this whole process, so the end result are generic, dead maps. The contrast of colors and materials combined with how gracelessly spaced out everything is to try to accommodate for the modern mechanics you've built are enough to never want to come back to play this garbage ever again. You can already see the visual downgrades, and considering this is a winter update, none of the content you provide is actually prepared for the winter season. You couldn't even be bothered to change the fucking loading screens. It's still based off Season 2's Lone Wolves update. Your Season 3 maps again look generic, plastic, and lifeless because of the Forge tools. So much so that you have to continue to use Photoshop to enhance your pre-released images. You're clearly using Forge mode to bypass the planning and design stage. And as AAA developers, you shouldn't be using Forge tools to build and supply your product with new content. It is extremely unprofessional and lazy, and set your players up, conning them with more low quality filler. Look at this. You can go straight through the fucking ground in Infinite's Forge mode. It's that botched up. And at this point, I'd presume this is how you made Infinite's campaign. Is this why your 2020 reveal was so traumatizingly bad? It's literally like you've made all of this in the Forge tools. Get this developer off Halo. Where the fuck did your 500 million go, 343? Renovations? In fact, is anyone at 343 even qualified for the job? There is no one to blame but the management who got us here and the people they employed. There was no one in-house who made this. This is all third-party work, people playing catch-up with the last contractor.
Your campaign should be your biggest source of inspiration to lean on ideas for. But even then, that was barely put together, offering only one environment to play with damn near no architecture and again, no physics. That's the whole purpose of these multiplayer narrative events, which you set up. It's to inject these short, lifeless compositions, which never made it into the campaign. And you use these to provide the theme for your next multiplayer maps, when these should have been fleshed out scenarios in your campaign to inspire these multiplayer maps. That's how bad you botched this game up. Miles of missed opportunity. My biggest gripes with this Forge mode, even this whole game in general, is the lack thereof, and it's embarrassing for a modern Halo game backed by the biggest tech company in the world with over $500 million and so much more. This is the shit we get, and there is so much potential here. There is just no excuse why Halo cannot achieve this. But again, this should be dev-made quality content, and that's a topic for another video. This studio is holding Halo down, holding it back from so much more potential. You cannot continue to use Forge mode as a substitute to build professional maps. You got away with this in Halo 5, but you sure as shit can't get away with this again. Because Halo cannot continue to look this bad, this day and age. Something needs to change.